When you think of Missouri, two words that might come to mind are show and me. But the two that come to mind for these two are weird and wonderful, and to explain why, they've written a book to show you.
There are some pretty weird things in there.
Amanda Doyle is the author of 100 Things to Do in St. Louis Before You Die and 100 Things to Do in Missouri Before You Die. So when she was approached to catalog Missouri things weird and wonderful, spoiler alert, she chose about 100. They are featured in this new book from Reedy Press, aptly called Missouri Weird and Wonderful, illustrated by Dan Zettwoch, who also picked some of the people, places, and peculiarities featured in the book.
The word that probably sold it for me was weird. If it would have just been wonderful Missouri, I was probably less interested.
There are plenty of places that you could say are either one or both. That gave us a lot of freedom in some ways to be able to include things that we thought, maybe I think it's weird, but if a person from that place says, why did you put this in there? We say, oh, it's because it's wonderful. It gives you a little cover.
Whether weird or wonderful, the authors leave it to the readers to assign the adjectives. Included among the proper nouns are elephant rocks and black bears, muralists and moralists. There's the spooklight found in Joplin, and the Stygobromus heteropotus, found only in Missouri's Pickle Spring. And speaking of pickles, how about some burnt ends or a brain sandwich, served on bread first sliced in Chillicothe, Missouri?
In the book, we have cashew chicken, which if you're from Springfield, Missouri, you probably know that cashew chicken was invented in Springfield, Missouri. I hate to burst the bubble of anyone who thinks it came from China. It did not.
Although anyone of any age enjoys fun facts, Dan Zettwoch's wide-eyed illustrations make the book particularly appealing to kids because he draws from his own childhood favorites.
Yeah, so I always liked Ripley's Believe It or Not, the strange but true, but then when I moved to St. Louis, I discovered that there was sort of a local version of that, which was called Our Own Oddities by a cartoonist named Ralph Grazak that was in the paper. Strange local facts that readers would submit. I really enjoyed the homespun local nonfiction, but also fun element to that.
And with that as inspiration, there is a section at the end of the book called Oddities, which features, among other things, Fugitive Beach, which has nothing to do with fugitives, Jim the Wonder Dog, who understood Morse code, and the Telephone Museum, home to the Hushaphone and the Cheeseburger Phone, both of which appear in the book. There are dozens of things that did not make it into the book, and some readers might question a few of the things that did.
The arch is a great example, right? I mean, it's sort of like, really? Do we have to really say the arch? But yes, we have to really say the arch, partly because it's a statewide book, okay? So there are people who are gonna read this book who haven't been to the arch. And I just think even those things that are super familiar to any of us, there's always something new you can learn about them. There's always an angle you didn't know. There's always more that you can find out.
Oh, by far the hardest section was the history section. Both because it's a lot more sort of abstract. There's in representing the Missouri Compromise, for instance, how do you represent the Missouri Compromise? You have to come up with some sort of visual metaphor or something like that. And that section was also just a lot kind of heavier and more serious in terms of subject matter. So that was the trickiest one, but I'm really happy with sort of what we came up with.
Whether you prefer the man-made to the natural, the historical to the mythical, or the wonderful to the weird, it's all here. But the authors want readers to remember it's all out there, too.
Honestly, I hope they take it and get in their cars or get on Amtrak and go explore Missouri. I'm a very big believer in blooming where you're planted. And so if you feel kind of like you've done a lot of stuff or there's not that much exciting here and you can't wait for your next trip out of town, reorient. There's plenty of things to visit here and weird things to discover that are going to keep you just as happy here as you would be anywhere else.